So here we go then, race number 12 of the second round robin stage of the Louis Vuitton America's Cup qualifiers. The opening race of the day, it is USA against New Zealand, it is Spithill against Burling, and this one will decide who wins the qualifying stage itself. The tactical battle well underway in the pre-start.
And as we've seen, the port tack, the person who entered on port tack, which in this case today was Oracle Team USA, very often is the leader back to the line, and they kind of pick that bottom end or the left-hand side of our screen. You see the starting line at the top of the screen. It looks like Team New Zealand, at this stage at least, is content to gap off and just try to do a running start, kind of a timed start. Now, of course, as soon as I said that, he's going for a little bit of a hook. I think this is a gap-off start. This is an acceleration start. Oracle Team USA has an overlap right now. Can New Zealand get around the front?
So the two best teams could be in this competition
boxing him out at the weather end of the line. There's going to be a button pushed, I'm guessing.
Will there be a protest?
There he goes. Penalty. We didn't see the red flag, but for sure,
he's still up.
Oracle Team USA had luffing rights. Team New Zealand forced their way in at the weather end. We'll go back and look at that a little more in depth in a bit, but Team New Zealand burns off their 2 boat length penalty, and the race kind of starts over with advantage Oracle Team USA.
Okay, it says we can just lay one inlet. It's pretty close.
So good speeds from both boats as they head to the first mark and head downwind for the first time in the match. Not far shy of the 40 knot mark, and the Kiwis, having had to sit quietly back and let the Americans head off, that will have stung a little bit, but they will not be panicking. They've been very calm and measured through the entirety of this event so far.
So what we saw out of Peter Burling in that start, you have to push and try to hook, or you have to gap, and he kind of did a little bit of in between and got himself in a tough spot. Sure enough, cost him a penalty, but knowing both of these teams, they're not going to go away.
So let's bring in Guy Endine, who's out on the water for us today, part of the Emirates Team New Zealand's outfit here in Bermuda. Guy, there's been so much talk about this matchup, this race. Give us just a flavour of the excitement building as we head into this race and the preparation that you guys put in for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge matchup, and especially to be at this end of the qualifying series. You know, we raced them at the start of the series, and that was exciting. Now I've had a chance to go away and get quite a few races under our belt and match up again. And no surprise that we saw you know, Pete enter on time and try and give Oracle a bit of a nudge in the pre-start. As it turned out, you know, he got a bit of a hook and got the penalty, but that's not the end of the world. It's, yeah, it's going to be up to us now to try and chase that lead.
We'll be hearing from Guy throughout the course of this race and indeed the rest of the afternoon. 3 more races to come, of course, with the Americans looking pretty comfortable at this point, but a long, long way to go. Rudder trouble for them yesterday. It snapped in pre-race practice.
4, 3.
They're looking to anticipate, aren't they? Anticipate what the Kiwis will be up to when they head through this gate.
And Tom Slingsby actually did a nice job of commentating there. He's probably going to split, and sure enough, there is a split on the race course. Very well pulled off by Emirates Team New Zealand, using that power plant that the cyclists, or I think they call them the cyclors, using it to efficiency to get around that mark in a perfect fashion.
Standing by, go quick. 3, 2.
So the Kiwis splitting the course in the hope of finding a little bit of extra pressure out there, a little bit of extra wind speed, and the manoeuvring a real feature of their master plan through the course of this America's Cup campaign. They tend to really shift the bow through the manoeuvre quickly, don't they, Kenny? We were talking about it yesterday, and they are very, very smooth. It's an unfussy operation.
They look slicker and slicker by the day. You see all those grinders head to toe, kind of getting very familiar with the nubbin of the guy in front of you. I think it's a completely different concept, something that we're going to learn more and more about, not this conventional grinding that we see on the right-hand side of Oracle Team USA, but with the cyclists. Does that power give them more advantage around those maneuvers? That last mark was really hard to pull off at that gate.
3, 2, 1. Could we touch and go?
The Americans out late yesterday afternoon after racing, practicing, having switched over their rudders.
Better pressure on now.
Normal for a team to be out on the water at the sort of times that they were out there, but
Here we go, Tarek.
nothing can be left to chance. Well beaten by the Swedes yesterday.
But like we were talking about in the pre-game analysis, sure teams bail out racing teams always. That split at the leeward gate is obviously paying some dividends already for Emirates Team New Zealand. The breeze shifts right and left on the race course right now. There's a bit of a left-hand shift. Emirates Team New Zealand took that shift, and now we, in essence, have an even boat race.
And a very tight cross between the pair of them.
The dial-down maneuver by Oracle Team USA, who is the right-of-way boat. We got some fans of all right there. Oracle Team USA was the right-of-way boat on starboard tack. Emirates Team New Zealand had to get out of the way. Oracle did a little bear off, made that dip harder. Approximately 62 knots. Bow to stern. Again, we've said it before, has a little Top Gun to it.
You do not want to be colliding at those kind of paces. There would be a messy ending, that's for sure. Average wind speed well down on initial forecasts, as we were mentioning earlier on today. But look at that, just nothing in it between these two top-class outfits.
Each boat has one more tack to go before they get to the gate. I don't think either are going to lay the gate. There's a slight right-hand wave. You look in the top left-hand corner. 243 degrees is what the course was set up to. Actually, we have a fairly substantial 13-degree shift to the right now. What that means is they're sailing a shorter distance on Emirates Team New Zealand, right-away boat, and they get a pass.
Kiwis flying through, but the Americans right there on their tail.
Keep the speed on.
And it's game on yet again.
Okay, let's stand by.
This the last race in the qualifiers for the defenders. They won't be racing again for 2 weeks after this, remember. Heading straight through to the match. A fortnight to go away and tweak their systems. Develop their boat in the way that they want it.
Yep, low build.
While everybody else scrambles to try and become the challenger.
Gotta watch the zone. Yeah.
It'll be fascinating to see.
Yeah, keep him low. Let's dial him down. We got a bit. Hold there. Yeah, let's dial him down. We can push him off it.
And they have a piece. He's trying to get them to dial down so Emirates Team New Zealand possibly doesn't make the gate.
Hold.
This is going to be very, very close yet again.
No way. Have to take it now. Trim. We go round him.
Kiwis bear away, but the Americans making ground here and sneaking in on the inside. A protest from the Kiwis. Decision time for Richard Slater, the chief umpire here.
I'm not quite sure why the Kiwis would have protested in that situation. They were the burden boat. They were the giveaway boat.
So Jimmy Spithill and Oracle Team USA in the lead once more, but this will go all the way to the wire.
One penalty already, a bunch of buttons pushed, 4 penalties and 2 passes.
Yeah, I don't want to be too fast.
Kiwis have protested again. So here it is at port starboard. Emirates Team New Zealand on port tack. They might not lay the gate, so they decide to try to tack right on the wind of Oracle Team USA. Oracle Team USA comes in. They probably protested because they didn't think Oracle Team USA had an overlap and therefore have room at that mark. Clearly they did have an overlap. They had room at the mark. No harm, no foul.
Tack right mark, yeah?
See, heading straight for the gate, an Oracle Team USA. It's all about who has an overlap and when.
Trim, we go round him, He's left us room. No way.
You hear them screaming, no way, no way. That's for an overlap coming into the mark. We'll go back and maybe if we get a graphic, we can just make 100% sure. This is where this, the chief umpires, their system they have to know who is right or wrong going into those circles is so critical because it happens so quickly. Even on multiple replays, it's hard for us to figure out exactly what happened in that situation.
Okay, real patch here. We've got to take good guts.
So just shy of the magic mark, both of these teams, the Americans and the Kiwis. The New Zealanders, of course, the ones who made it all the way around the course, up on the foils yesterday against the French.
Okay, keep coming.
What's made even more impressive is they're both in fairly heavy air packages. You have to imagine the breeze is much lighter than originally predicted, and they're still out of the water 99% of the time.
Really close to boundary. Cross oil. Cross oil it.
Yeah, got time to cross oil.
I don't think he's laying it mine.
He's not laying.
So all the time concentrating on what they're doing, but similarly having to keep a very tight eye on what the Kiwis are up to, trying to predict what's going to happen as they head for Gate 4. Oracle Team USA, the defenders of the America's Cup, looking to grab that extra point to take into the match. So what a bonus that would be for them. What a leg up. And it could well be the Kiwis facing them there, of course. Every likelihood. So in some senses, you could look upon this as part one of the match, should the Kiwis go through.
Exactly. And this is a really difficult maneuvers the Kiwis just tried to pull off there. That very tight mark rounding. They got slow. I'm not so sure that split may have been a perfect idea going into that mark. That was, no matter how good their hydraulic system is, yes, they got a split here, but that definitely cost them a couple more boat lengths on that really tough leeward gate rounding.
Stand by.
Touch and go. 3, 2, 1.
So the Americans just stretching out.
Getting out of here in about 15 20.
Pressing. Clutch off here.
2, 1, here we go.
Yeah, second bar.
Yeah, big trim, guys.
I'm looking up. He sets up. Okay, keep continuing. Coming into better pressure. Come in second.
He goes.
Okay, better position now. 23, 22, 23.
One more tack for the Kiwis. A slight loss of boat speed, which they've been trying to minimize in all their maneuvers and doing it very successfully to date.
Wind up a bit now.
Gonna go fast here. A little bit.
It's going to be good breeze.
So we're learning some new terminology out here today. We heard cross oil, other kind of interesting phrases. Let's go back out to Guy and Dean on the water. Cross oil, I'm guessing, is some sort of hydraulic pressure, kind of a code for some function on board Oracle. Are there these types of codes on all the boats now? Kind of a new terminology, Guy?
Yeah, I think with all this new technology, people have kind of got to pave their own way in terms of terminology and come up with things that suit their team. Obviously, a fair few for us, being a pretty unconventional style of power supply. So, yeah, I mean, it's turned into one of those places where there's been a lot of manoeuvres. So these guys will really be digging deep and trying to get the oil around the boat. I wouldn't be surprised if Oracle are feeling the pain as well.
A penalty picked up by the Kiwis as well, having strayed beyond the boundary. So that's their second of the race. It may prove costly.
About 230 meters in between the boats right now.
Just a little.
And there's the man in charge, Jimmy Spithill.
Stand by.
Foiling tack.
Yeah.
4,
Looking to bring
3, 2,
the America's Cup to the USA for the third successive time.
All soft out of this.
Another couple terms that we've heard is he's being very clear as to whether he wants to do a foiling tack or he's used the term touch and go, which means leeward hull touching and then slowly building speed coming out of it. Again, I think these guys all have quite heavy air packages in. We still have New Zealand possibly with that boundary penalty that they haven't brushed off.
Taking a long time to shake that off.
They have to slow down 2 boat lengths. They've tacked 2 out of it. I think they start building upon a penalty if they don't take it in time. Maybe if we get a chance, we can go to Richard Slater and get his interpretation of what's going on at some stage. Lots going on here. This is
And we're going to do 2 tacks and left. But we're going to
It's rare, isn't it? It is rare to see the errors from the Kiwis. They have been very smooth.
You still see the a blue light flashing on there. Yeah, there's still a penalty light flashing on the Kiwis boat. With that all said, I believe that once you tack after not doing a penalty properly, you actually get another penalty piled on. So this is an unforced error turning into a big-time issue for Emirates Team New Zealand.
Compounding their problems, the New Zealanders, and some of this self-inflicted as the Americans stretch away towards gate 5. They will go downwind for one more time before the blast reach to the finish. Let's have a word with Richard Slater, the chief umpire. Richard, we're surmising from out there that the New Zealanders have not slowed down sufficiently, so they gathered another penalty off the back of the first one.
Correct. They had a boundary penalty at the bottom, but with quite a light right shift, they didn't lose the 2 boat lengths. And then when they tacked the other boundary, we had to add more in. With the shift, it made it very difficult to take that penalty.
Thanks, Richard.
3, 2, 1.
We even had it right.
Amazing.
Well, the tack, you have a penalty and then do a maneuver like tacking, you automatically get another penalty pile on top of it.
Just equalise.
With one more leg into the bottom and then that reach across. This is looking to be a race of what-ifs for the Kiwis. There's no doubt about that. Plenty of chances on that second upwind leg. They had a pass. Could have been a ley line call coming into that top gate that cost them the ability to kind of sail their own race at that stage. They made it across on port tack that time, but tacked. Got rolled by Oracle Team USA, so maybe a couple mistakes that we aren't used to seeing the Kiwis make, and all of a sudden a nice little lead for Oracle Team USA.
The Kiwis only beaten once in this regatta so far. That was by the USA last Saturday. It was by a margin of only 6 seconds. This one looks like being a rather heavier defeat.
No matter who Oracle Team USA faces in the finals, by winning, if they go on to win this race, by winning this race and the overall round robin series, they bring a point. 1 point, it's in effect, it's like a win, or actually the way it's scored, like a loss for the other boat. But they will be up 1-0 going into the America's Cup Finals.
Yeah, the easiest way to explain it, I think, is that the challenger, whoever that is, will start on -1. And Jimmy Spithill will then hold all the aces, won't he? And there may be some people who are a little confused having seen the standings, because the USA currently on 7, the New Zealanders on 8. It would take the Americans to 8. So they would be level, but they would also have one more race to come against the British. But more significantly than that, the Kiwis will not race again. They will be done at this point. And because of the Louis Vuitton America's Cup World Series, where the Americans obviously were runners-up and beat the Kiwis, that is the tie-break.
That's the tie-break.
Live patch in 2, 1.
I'm really
Live
glad
patch.
you just made that explanation, in fact. But
Well,
that is, it's the tie-break. The tie-break, no matter what, they're going to be at least tied. And the tie-break means the America's Cup World Series, and the tie-break goes to Oracle Team USA.
The defenders of the America's Cup on song here in Bermuda. The qualifying stage belongs to the USA. They will take that bonus point into the match. That is a huge victory for Jimmy Spithill and his crew. They will have the leg up. A key element in the final analysis. They've done all they can do at this point
The race in the cup, boys. Nice work.
as they prepare to down tools for a fortnight.
And you just heard Tom Slingsby. We just won a race in the Cup. That's exactly what just happened. And congratulations to Oracle Team USA. It's been a tough couple weeks, and now they have 2 weeks off, in essence, to go and test and train by themselves in order to get prepared for that final America's Cup. As the defender, they go automatically there. The challengers keep battling it out to see who will face Oracle Team USA in the finals.